Welcome back to the Marlins here on OOTP 26, and as you can see, we have got to the end of the playoffs here. We are a fantastic score of 841 despite our first round loss in the NLDS to the Philadelphia Phillies. And in case you're wondering, the World Series champions were the St. Louis Cardinals. So not only did we get first rounded, but we lost not even to a team that went on to win it all. We lost to the team that then immediately lost in the next round. Fair to say they lost in 7 games, obviously, but, hard-fought series. But disappointing end to the season for sure. I mean, we're trying to be pushing for World Series titles here, not just getting into the playoffs and calling that a successful season. Although, I've talked about this plenty of times, I hate how fans talk about successful seasons in American sports. Like, sure, it's disappointing if your team doesn't win the World Series, but only one team wins the World Series. So, it's just crazy, especially for certain teams. It's just crazy for people to say that, it wasn't a good season. You're gonna tell me if the Brewers don't win the World Series this year that it's not a good season? I don't know. It's just something about boiling down the entire regular season to, oh, well, this doesn't matter and it wasn't actually a part of my time. I didn't dedicate part of my time, a limited currency that we have, to doing this thing. But no, it just, I don't know, it bugs me. So rant over there as we now embark on the offseason here. And we do have a budget of $244 million heading into the offseason, which is actually quite a jump from the previous season. So we had a $230 million budget last year, and already just right off the bat, 244. So Bruce Sherman, I don't know, maybe he wants a World Series title or something here. He has now bumped our budget up a good chunk there, and now we have the 17th highest budget in Major League Baseball. We already have the 13th highest payroll, which is pretty damn high for the Florida Marlins. And we do have to make one decision, and that is Brooks Lee, coming off a season where he was really not great offensively, but overall was still good enough defensively to be a good player for us. 3-war season for him. I forget exactly how it was. Yeah, so August and September he was good, but for the most part wasn't really that great offensively. And he's going to be 33, getting paid $12.5 million. And the thing is, if we don't accept this option, we just straight up don't really have anybody else who can play shortstop at the moment. I mean, as far as guys that are currently on the 40-man roster, it's basically nobody. It's Brooks Lee, and we don't have an actual backup for him at the shortstop position. The backup during the season is Camilo Diaz, but it's not exactly like we want this guy playing every day at shortstop for us. That's not something we're trying to do. And then as far as the other infielders, Vargas has just not been playing well in the infield, obviously not a shortstop there. Wilfredo Lara is not a shortstop. He's also starting to come down to the point of his career where he's starting to really fall off a bit as well. Butch Brown, I guess not really a shortstop either. He's also not really somebody you want playing every day. He's definitely a bench player. Partridge is a third baseman, a first baseman. Chris King is not really a shortstop either. I should probably just make his primary position second base. So yeah, he's not a shortstop. Also, somebody you don't want playing every day. And then same with Danny Munson, somebody you don't want playing every day, and he's not a shortstop. So really the only guy in the organization who can actually play shortstop for us is Andrew Salas, who's a guy you obviously don't want playing every day. We do have Alec Marroquin, who was our first-round pick in 2032, coming up the system. He was in high A ball for us this year the majority of the season. Put together a 2.5 WAR, and then a 2 WAR combined between rookie ball and high A this season. As a 23-year-old, almost 24-year-old. He was a bit older when we drafted him. He's definitely going to be a fast riser this season, so we're hoping that he can really start off the season in Double-A. Do I have him locked? I do indeed. He should start off the season in Double-A in 2034, and hopefully have a good minor league season, and then by the end of the year, he's ready to become our shortstop. But even then, you're looking at the 55 shortstop. I guess he kind of hung at shortstop a little bit in rookie ball. Was kind of okay, but mainly at second base in high A ball. So even him, who knows if he's actually a real shortstop for us. It's looking like it's not really going to be that way. We are going to throw him on the try to improve his defense with the dev lab, but we might have ourselves a bit of a predicament with the shortstop position here heading into next season. All that to say that we are obviously executing the option for Brooks Lee here, so he will be back for another season. Despite his bat taking a hit this year, his BABIP is down to 45, his power is 45. His power's never been great, but still has a decent gap power, decent avoid Ks. The big thing with him is that his OBP really took a hit this season, which is a big thing for us because he's been our leadoff guy for a long time. And right now the leadoff guy is probably Dylan Head. But like Dylan Head, he's had seasons where his OBP isn't great. This year he had a 360, but like you don't want a 310 OBP leading things off. So, starting to run in some issues here offensively the past couple seasons. I feel like I shouldn't say the year we went to the World Series because we go to the World Series, anything can happen. But getting first rounded, I feel like the big thing this year was our offense just sort of did nothing after those first two games in the series. So I think we're going to have to start prioritizing some more pop when it comes to offense. It's just something that I really don't look to that much, and I probably should, which is just funny to say because in real life I'm like all about the power, but like for whatever reason when I play this game, I don't know, if I see a guy like this, I tend to prefer a guy like this more than a guy like Nick Johnson, but maybe we should be trying to get more Nick Johnson types in the system. Like if I see a guy like Diaz, I just don't think this is as valuable as a guy like this, or what Laura was in like his prime. It's just, I don't know, it's just not something that I ever prefer, but we might have to start thinking that way and try to be conscious of getting more power guys in the system, because we just don't have enough power, I feel like, and we get to the playoffs and our like station to station hitting of like doubles and stealing bases just kind of fizzles out in the offense in the postseason, and we rely on like one or two guy to give us power, and if they kind of slump, we're just kind of screwed. So we might have to start looking towards more power here as just a organizational philosophy, as well as trying to get a Agustin Ramirez replacement at catcher and a Brooks Lee replacement at shortstop for the foreseeable future. And one thing I did want to mention heading into this offseason is Jalen McCoy. Obviously, this guy, I'm just now talking about how we want to get more power in the system, and Jalen McCoy is a guy who looks like he could have 80 grade power. He hasn't tapped into it yet. He only has 45, but he has 80 potential. He hasn't done any like crazy power numbers in the minor leagues, but he looks like he could be a really good power bat. Now, the thing about him is that he is a poor first baseman DH type. He's never going to play left field for us, so if we just go like first base, that's what he is for us. He maybe could be a first baseman for us if we open up some spots on the roster, like guaranteed spots heading into the season would be like Dylan Head in center, Mark Antonio at DH, Garza in left field, Vargas, I'm not sure what position, Brooks Lee at short. Lara has one more guaranteed year in his contract, and then if he keeps being like around league average-ish like this, we might have to look to be like opening up that spot for somebody. But, heading into this season, we'll probably have like Lara at third, Vargas, maybe a full season at second base again. He figures it out, because I just don't understand how these ratings, a 60 range, 60 error, 55 arm, 65 turn DP, can lead to a negative 10 ZR at second base. It just makes no sense to me. He's a 65 rating at second base. So I'm just hoping that, like, I don't know, now that he's had a full season at second, maybe he can, like, put together a decent season there now. I don't know, but that's probably just what it's going to be. First base would be open, I guess. And then I guess, and then like Agustin Ramirez at catcher, although kind of, it's his last season with us, 2034. So like, I'm leaning towards trying to get his replacement in-house now, this offseason. And Yeah, just trying to find somebody who can be the replacement for him once he leaves. And as far as the other spots, like, I don't know, maybe Amishai is trade bait. Like, he's fine, but he's a platoon guy. He's a guy who can't hit against lefties, really. Same with Mikov. I would be open to trading both Amishai and Mikov if we could get, like, a future shortstop replacement who could, like, maybe play for us now as well, like, every few days, as well as a catcher, packaged with some other prospects when it came to trading Amishai and Mikov. Like, whatever we have to do, those are two guys I'm open to trading. Camilo Diaz, I think I'm open to trading as well because he is hitting $4.8 million in arbitration this year. That would make it to where we'd have to find a new backup infielder because he has just been such a clutch player to have as just like a guy who can play all 4 infield positions at least a replacement level. Or no, we should probably be putting Garza in right field. I don't know. He was another guy who was like weirdly not great in right field, but should be able to play right field. So Garcia is going to be in left. Garza is going to be in right. Garza's in right field. We'll change his position to right field. Garcia is our left fielder. And I don't know, maybe Jalen McCoy is our first baseman this year. And we hope he can tap into that power, and then that bat adds some serious power to our lineup. And then we look to trade Amishai and Mikov rather than having them be like a platoon at first base. We trade them for shortstop catcher. Obviously, we're not going to be like, oh, just trade Amishai for a catcher and trade Mikov for a shortstop. It's going to have to be like a package of some sort. But like those are 2 trade options that I'm looking at. These 3 guys, Amishai, Mikov, Diaz, are 3 trade options for us. And then we do have some guys who are going to be hitting arbitration this season that are like guys we should be looking to move on from. So like Nicholas Partridge just hasn't ever, like, he had a phenomenal season in AAA this year, but he's just not good in the major leagues. We've given him plenty of plate appearances. He's never been like that impressive for us. So I'm thinking that Partridge is a guy we try to trade here this offseason as well for whatever we can get for him. He's a trade chip. TJ Griffin we probably bring back for $2.2 million. Peyton Martin, though, $4 million. He's either non-tender or trade chip, especially now that he's extreme fly ball. He was great for us for, I would say, 2 seasons in the bullpen, but I think it's time to move on at that price point. Same with Diaz, same with Partridge. Nick Johnson we would probably bring back at $2.4 million to be like a 4th outfielder type for us this season and hope the bat can be good enough. And then Mikov we've talked about is also going to be trade bait this offseason. Obviously, Johnny Brito is an expiring contract. He wants $12 million. I don't know. We probably don't do that, but maybe we wouldn't give him 4 years, obviously, but if we could do like a 1-year deal, that would make sense, maybe. And then another thing that we could look to do is include some of our like early 20s, mid 20s like prospect starters who just don't have an opening in our rotation to be somebody we could package for a catcher or shortstop. Somebody like Kurt Tebow, who still has a 50 potential as a starter. He could definitely start for somebody in Major League Baseball. Severin Hansen, maybe we keep him, maybe we trade him. Omar Garcia could possibly be trade bait for us. Maybe even Rico Vergan's trade bait, although I'm kind of leaning towards he is our 5th starter this season, considering he was so good in his limited showing in 2033 rather. Prospero Cannavaro is a guy that we could possibly trade at some point, although I do like his outlook, or his profile. Burnett is a guy who I like his profile, but he's just not tapping into this control, and he's just, whenever he does come up, he's not really that great. Like this year, we gave him a good chance, and he was just not good in the bullpen or in the rotation. So, like if we look at his splits here at the major league level, like the reliever was okay, I guess, but like the starting was just terrible in 15 starts. But like he's somebody who another team would be interested in giving an option to. I don't want to trade away all of our depth, but we've still got guys like Elizalde. If we don't, like, he could be a trade option, he could be a depth. So, like, I'm not going to trade away everybody, obviously, but we still have plenty of guys who could give us starting rotation depth. And then we still have a bunch of guys coming up the system as well who aren't even on the 40-man right now. Like, this John Craven guy is possibly like a back end of the rotation sort of option for us. As far as relievers go, we've got somebody like Angel Macias, who's an option to be in our bullpen. We've got somebody like Ryan Levine, who's coming up the system, although he just actually tore a flexor tendon in his elbow at the end of, or the beginning of midway through September, so he's not going to be coming back. He's also like the final boss of like this high stuff, horrible control. Like he's got like Joe Boyle level control, where he's throwing super hard, got the nastiest stuff imaginable, but he has no clue where it's going. But he's been effective at Double-A with that, so I don't know, hopefully he's not too diminished when he comes back from that injury. Nate Franz is an option for us down in the system as well. He's a guy that we have. Jose Gonzalez is a possible reliever option, although we don't love the extreme fly ball from him. Abdul Rahim Karate was a 10th round pick for us in 2030. He's starting to progress a bit to the point where he might be a decent reliever for us at some point. Michael Loria, he's a 45 potential. We've got this Pazzanini guy who unfortunately tore his UCL in late June or late July. He was on track to be a pretty good pitcher for us. Hopefully he's not totally destroyed by his injury. We got Mark Rigney, who's a possible like a reliever option for us. We've got Jose Terran, who's a possible reliever option for us. Don't love the personality at all, though. Rod Quijones is a really, really good reliever option for us. So we've got a bunch of young guys in the system that could come up and replace relievers if we end up trading away some of our like starters that we use as relievers, who are depth for us. Oh, and I also forgot to mention Mike Carrier. Mike Carrier is another guy who is probably on the outside looking in here for arbitration. $3.2 million. Not the biggest sum in the world, but he is coming off a season where his home runs really spiked. And he's down to a 45. So if we could get something for him, we might look to trade him, or maybe we do hope that he bounces back. It's not the biggest price point in the world, so he's a guy who's like borderline bring back or trade away. But I think the majority of the rest of these guys, aside from Nick Johnson, are guys that and Griffin, Nick Johnson are the guys we're looking to bring back. But like Carrier, Martin, Diaz, Partridge, and Mikov, I think are all trade bait this offseason. Alrighty, so we have gone in and done our 10 players for the development lab here. The first one we did was Prospero Cannavaro, which I'm not sure why he has just a random black hat on, because he's... What is he doing right now? I don't know. He's on the big league roster, isn't he? Yeah, he's on the 40 man, so he's on the big league roster. I don't know why he has the no Marlins hat on. That's weird. But we are trying to improve his pitch movement. He's already got some really good stuff. Potentially he's got the fastball, the cutter. If we could tap into some of this movement here, that would be fantastic. With that 80 grade stamina, maybe he's our next Ramon Hernandez type. And then Mark Antonio, once again trying to improve his durability, because that's just going to be a yearly thing at this point. Butch Brown, we're trying to improve his quality of contact. He's already got the 55 power, and he has some potential here for the BABIP to improve, so if we can get that up and get like a Juan Padilla type boost to maybe get the potential up to with the current, that would be fantastic. Although the dev lab definitely seems like it's not as powerful as it was last year, even though the devs keep saying it's the same thing. Jalen McCoy, generate bat speed, self-explanatory. He's already got the 80 potential, but he hasn't quite tapped into the power quite yet. So if we can boost that along, push him towards getting the power, because if that happens this offseason through spring training and whatnot, he's our opening day first baseman if this power starts developing. Omar Garcia, we're trying to improve his control for self-explanatory reasons. He is a big movement control potentially pitcher. Could be a really, really good finesse lefty for us. We would love that to happen if he can tap into this control. Alec Marroquin, we're trying to tap into his bat speed, get some power up here. He already has the 55 potential for the BABIP. If he can keep improving that, maybe get a bit of a power bump too. And then we can also do a second set for him for the defense in spring training, and hopefully we get lucky and he gets power and he becomes like a legit shortstop. That would be fantastic for us. Tony Elizalde, trying to improve his pitch arsenal, which is a bad off-speed pitch, which is essentially us trying to, I guess, improve his changeup. Maybe that's not the best use of our... might as well. Might as well keep that on. Pitch arsenal, why not? Try to improve a bad off-speed pitch, or maybe it would do the curveball, maybe it would do the changeup, I don't know. Whatever it is, we're trying to go at that, because I would do movement, but he doesn't have any potential there. And then stuff is like the pitches plus the velocity, so like I don't feel like going for the velocity is a big thing for him, because he already has a shit ton of velocity. But yeah, Elizalde, want him to improve a bit. And then we threw on 3 random prospects here. Angel Miguel is a guy for us in AA the past 2 seasons, and he has been coming on as this like really good kind of out of nowhere scouting discovery guy, switch hitting, durable infielder, more of a corner infielder, first base, third base type. Has a decent amount of power and gap power already. If this can keep developing, that would be great. He just put up 31 home runs in Pensacola this past season, 18 the year before, 20 plus doubles both seasons. He had a really big jump this year with the doubles and the home runs. And if we could just get some of that more quality of contact going to where he has green in the gap, the power, and the BABIP, that would be really, really good. And maybe he's like our Wilfredo Lara replacement at third base. Who knows? And then we also just threw on these 2 catchers. Dustin Aspel was a 14th round pick in 2029 for us. He's got 60 framing. Horrible personality class. But if we can tap into some of this power here, that's what we're going for, right? Yeah, his power. If we could turn him into like a super power hitting 60 framing catcher, maybe we have our replacement for Agustin in-house, and we could just kind of roll with that and see how it goes. But if that doesn't happen, then this is like the backup plan in case we can't land the catcher that we want. But we also are trying to go for Ken Simmons here, who has decent power and eye already, 70 framing. If we can tap into some of this BABIP and turn him into a bit more of a consistent hitter, that could really help us out as well. He was a 20th round pick for us in 2029, the same class as Aspel, right? Yes. I keep calling it Aspel. It's probably Asbel. Asbel. I don't know why I'm Aspel. Asbel. Jesus. It's not quite Jason Isbell. It's Dustin Asbel. I don't know. It's weird to me. But anyways, those are the last 2 guys we threw on the player development here, and we shall see how they do through the offseason. Alrighty, folks, we are here at the point of the offseason where the awards have been given out, and as you can see, the National League MVP is none other than Juan Cuadros. That is his 3rd straight MVP. He is 24 years old, and he already has a career WAR of 35.3. And he is 24. Okay, so Juan Cuadros gets a 9-WAR season. That's his 3rd straight MVP. Runs away with the award. The American League MVP was Pedro Diaz of the Chicago White Sox, a 22-year-old who has bursted onto the scene and put up a 7-WAR last year and an 8-WAR this season. He is crazy good, and luckily we are not in the American League. That's all I can say about this guy. National League, Cy Young, folks. Finally, Pedro Patino has won the first Cy Young here in our tenure of the GM of the Florida Marlins. Runs away with the award. Andres Pagan was behind him. He had the highest WAR and the best FIP minus, but I mean, you just can't beat the 1.95 ERA. Crazy. I mean, if we look at his pitching stats here, like the old school view, I guess opponent's average would not be in here. Would it be expanded stats? Or I guess it would be opponent batting stats. So yeah, opponents overall on the season hit 147, 264, 241. That was the slash line. A 506 opposing OPS for Pedro Patino this season. Pretty damn good stuff. I mean, first Cy Young for us here at the Fish. Hell yeah, Pedro Patino has cemented himself among the legendary players of this channel, along with Nolan Shawnwell and Luis Carmona. And then the American League Cy Young winner was Ovis Portez, that guy who started out with the Cincinnati Reds, the Antiguan, now at the Boston Red Sox. We were actually able to trade for him some of the stuff I was looking for, which I obviously did not do because we don't need a pitcher, and also he's expensive. But he does win the American League Cy Young. That is his first Cy Young 2033 here at age 28, almost 29. I should also mention that we did get the storyline that TJ Griffin went to India, so that's always, hit or miss. And luckily, we got the good result. He came back, said he feels amazing. The trip was out of this world. I am absolutely sure it will take my game to a whole new level. So hopefully, TJ Griffin can be a really damn good lefty for us in the bullpen and not be like this mediocre pitcher he was for us this past season. But then taking a look at the rest of the award winners, the National League Rookie of the Year, apparently all 4 of them were Pittsburgh Pirates players. The one who got the best one was Alex Rodriguez, not to be confused with the, I guess, owner of the Timberwolves. He's still the owner of the Timberwolves? I don't really know what the hell happened with that whole thing, but Alex Rodriguez, we all know him. This is not the same guy, obviously. Left fielder for the Pittsburgh Pirates, puts up a 4 WAR, gets the Rookie of the Year award. So maybe the Pirates are going to start turning a corner here and being a good ball club. That would be pretty cool because, I think the Pirates, historically all-time great franchise that's been ruined by current ownership. And then the American League Rookie of the Year was Antonio Benavidez of the Minnesota Twins, their center fielder. Looks like he's a decent enough bat, but definitely there for his glove. But at the same time had a negative 10 ZR in center field, so not really sure. I guess there was just a really weak year in the American League for Rookie of the Year. Sure, I guess. And then we only had 1 Silver Slugger on the team this season, and that was, of course, Mark Antonio, the DH, with his 5 WAR season at the DH position. And then the other award that we ended up getting was Reliever of the Year, as Luke Garreau beats out Justin Martinez and Yohan Duran and his teammate Adrian Grijalva for the Rolaids Reliever of the Year award. Once again, I don't know if they still call it that in real life, but it was for a long time, the Rolaids Relief Award. And then also no Gold Glove for us this season either. Very good team defense overall in general, but not enough to have anybody have a singular great season to get a Gold Glove. Alrighty, folks, we are here at the end of the offseason. It is opening day, March 21st, 2034. And before we get into what we did over the offseason, it is first time to go over the international free agent class. We had ourselves another bulk class this season, but we did get ourselves some decent players through this one. The most notable being Fabio Dago, whatever this guy's name is, 16-year-old right-hander out of Venezuela. He has a very, very good personality class, high leader, adaptability, work ethic, low financial ambition. Just looks like he could be a crazy good reliever for us with 45 stamina too. Hopefully he develops and turns into a monster for us. And then we have Mario Aguayo, another reliever we took out of the Dominican Republic, another hard-throwing right-hander here. 16 years old, low financial ambition, possibly 100-plus velocity on the miles per hour. And also the first guy we got for $1.7 million in the international free agents, and then Aguayo we got for $110,000. So bottom of the barrel stuff here. And then Raul Baruman, a Colombian outfielder, not really an outfielder, probably more of a DH first base type, but has a seriously good power eye potential with 50 gap power and 60 BABIP. Obviously some huge swing and miss to go with it, but I felt like the power and the eye combined with the BABIP and the gap was enough to give him a shot here. So we signed him for $590,000 out of Colombia. And then we also picked up a third baseman named Danny Michel out of Dutch Antillean. He's Dutch. That's all you need to know. Lefty-righty corner outfield type or corner infield type. Probably, lesser of a third baseman, but could hang if, maybe. But has a decent bat. Thought he was worth giving a shot to for $970,000. He was like one of the last signings we did, just kind of trying to get like the best guy available that I thought that was like we could afford, and he was that guy. Then we also picked up Andres Sandoval, a Dominican outfielder with 65 outfield range and error, high work ethic, some good contact bat with a 55 gap power to go along with it. Pretty self-explanatory, could be a center fielder or a really good corner someday. We got him for $700,000 flat. And then we also picked up Aaron Saylor, this guy was a scouting discovery who we picked up like right before the international free agent started, like right before the international free agent class started. So I was just like, we'll just throw him on the list here just to talk about him because he's a 50 potential, obviously low scouting accuracy, but an Australian right-handed pitcher with some high control potential. Who knows? Maybe he develops someday. And then Nevada Garcia, a catcher out of the Dominican Republic, 65 framing, decent enough BABIP with some good eye. We got him for $170,000, so pretty much bottom of the barrel stuff there. And then we also picked up Hector Hernandez, a 17-year-old left-handed corner outfielder. Looks like he could be like a really, really good corner outfielder with some 60 range and 70 arm, high adaptability and work ethic. Green across the board on his potentials for his hitting. Definitely very intriguing. We picked him up for $184,000. And then the last guy we picked up was Guillermo Montero, a catcher out of the Dominican Republic, switch hitter, 60 framing, 50 blocking, 55 arm, decent enough looking bat to go along with the 60 framing. We picked him up for $470,000 out of the Dominican Republic. And before we go over all the transactions that we did in this offseason, I did just want to cover that we did actually do a bit of transition here on our coaching staff this offseason because the past couple seasons we've had a bunch of really good coaches, but they had been feuding for a long time because I wasn't really paying attention to the personalities and what they were working well with. So we had a bunch of guys who, you could see all these guys were struggling with temperamental. We had a bunch of guys who were temperamental. So we still have our team trainer is temperamental, but he doesn't really matter when it comes to the staff cohesion. But the rest of these guys, they're all Gucci now for the most part. Like obviously the scouting director and the third base coach have one they're annoyed with, but overall happy staff. Looking better now. We did replace our manager, Adam Melhuse, who was an expiring contract, and we went a different route. Rather than getting a guy who we could mold, we got a solidified manager in Brandon Hyde. Excellent reputation. He won a ton of games with the Orioles. I mean, you look at these records, 2025 first year of the save, never lost more than 90 games, or never had less than 90 wins, is what I'm trying to say. Just really, really good Orioles teams, and he could never get them over. Or no, what am I saying? He then lost 78. He won 78 games, and then they fired him. So he fell off a cliff in 31. They fired him. He was out of baseball in 32 and 33, and now in 2034 he is back in baseball managing the Fish here. And I was just like, we like his managing attributes here. I don't care that he's like locking me out of some of this stuff because some of this stuff is just what I would be using anyways. So we don't really care. He still lets us control lineups and everything. He's a personable guy. Thought he was worth hiring. So Brandon Hyde is our manager now. We also picked up a new bench coach in Harold Eckert. He is quite good. Teaches catching and infield defense quite well. Has all these good stuffs too. Out of Perth Amboy, New Jersey. Shout out. We also had to replace Peter Bendix as our assistant GM because he was hired as the Texas Rangers GM. So Jim Stockman is now our assistant GM. Who cares? Whatever. Moskos and Ben Johnson are still our pitching and hitting coach. They've been there since literally the first season for Moskos, since 2025. And for Ben Johnson, it's also been since 2025. And then we did hire two new base coaches. Our first base coach is former Oakland A legend Jared Parker. For everybody who's aware, had that really good 2012 season, and then his elbow exploded. I think it was his elbow. I think he had like 3 Tommy Johns or some shit like that. Something incredible like that. And retired at 25, as you can see here. So Jared Parker is our first base coach. Has some good teaching and whatnot. Felt like he was interesting to bring in. Works well with our staff. And then our third base coach is Pedro Marte, who has, once again, excellent across the board here in all the teaching, except for teaching running. And he was our third base coach. And then our scouting director and team trainer remained the same. So now it's time to actually go over what we did here over the offseason. And it was a pretty busy offseason. We swung a bunch of trades. There are some guys who have been here for a while that we moved on from, brought in some new faces. But then also, we extended some guys too, so we're confident with where the team is sitting right now heading into 2034. The first thing we did, you could see here, beginning of November, is we actually traded for a catcher, Kyle Ortega. He was the other catcher with San Francisco. We ended up having to give them a bit of a haul with Severin Hansen, who was why is it on OSA? He was a 50 when we traded him. Now he's a 55. He is fragile though, but he is going to be on. Or this is as a reliever, so he is on the Giants opening day staff, but as a reliever. We also had to give them Nicholas Partridge, who was like whatever. He just never really did anything for us, and now he's going to play for San Francisco. And then we also gave them Peyton Martin, who we were going to trade anyways, and had no spot in our team anymore with the $4 million in arbitration. So now he's over in San Fran in their rotation, although out to start the season with a hamstring strain. And we pick up Kyle Ortega. Now, when we traded for him, he was a 50 potential, even with very high scouting. Unfortunately, he has dropped down to a 50, so it looks kind of dumb that we traded all those guys for this 45 overall guy. But, he's been good in AAA the past 2 seasons. He's never gotten really a shot in the big leagues. He has 4 games in the big leagues ever, 24 days total. He's durable. Him and Ramirez are basically going to be sharing the catching duties for us, which we will get into when we go over the lineup. But Kyle Ortega is our catcher plan for when Ramirez leaves, and we've got some guys in the system that we like as well. So once Ramirez leaves after this season, it's going to be Ortega and some combination of some other guys we have. But for this season, it's Ortega and Ramirez. We also traded Camilo Diaz to the Atlanta Braves. He was a guy who was made $4.8 million in arbitration, and rather than pay him that to be just like a guy who puts up like around league average WRC pluses and can possibly give you some home runs, we were just like, hey man, we'll get rid of you. He's going to go start for Atlanta, I'd imagine, in our division, so hopefully that doesn't come back to bite us. But Camilo Diaz is now on the Braves, and we ended up getting basically a guy to replace him in the infield in Wilfred De La Cruz. This guy is our backup infielder right now. Obviously not as good as a power bat as Camilo Diaz, but he has some more BABIP and some more eye. Has some good personality, good speed profile as well. Switch hitter, can play all over the infield decently well, at least a replacement level. So he's our backup infielder now, Wilfred De La Cruz. He has all 3 of his options. He has 76 days of Major League service, so we've got him for quite a bit. And then we also ended up being able to squeeze out, I think the main piece was Godfrey, and then we threw on De La Cruz, but Marique Godfrey here. We got a durable starting pitching prospect. He's listed as a reliever now because we just sent him down to AA, and he was a reliever in spring training, but he will be a starter in AA. As a 60 potential still. So this guy, another sick arm to add to the mix here in Florida in our system. He could very well be in our big league rotation at any point in time. Very excited to see how he develops. He was an Atlanta draft pick, I believe. 14th round pick in 2031, and has just developed nicely for them. And now we are going to be hopefully reaping the rewards of that as we traded Camilo Diaz to them. And then we also did another trade. We sent Troy Amishai and 18-year-old prospect Juan Van Veen, who was an international free agent signing, I believe. Yeah, we got him for cheap out of the Netherlands Antilles. Or Antilles? I don't really know what that is, to be honest. But anyways, we sent him and Troy Amishai, obviously, to the Brewers. And we picked up a player that we've been looking at for quite a while, and Alex Moyeda. This crazy stuff, good enough movement, 4-pitch elite mix, 80 to 85 grade fastball, slider, curveball, cutter with the 70 grade stuff, throws super hard. He is our 5th starter this year. Not Rico Vergen, this guy. So Alex Moyeda, we are very, very excited to see what he can do in a full year in our system. As a 25-year-old, he is going to be arbitration eligible next season, so we're hoping that he's going to be worth this arbitration price. I did actually try to get him to a multi-year extension, buy out a year of free agency when I traded for him, but he was just not having it. I was giving him multiple hundreds of thousands more than he was projected to get arbitration and giving him a year of free agency, and he was just not having it. So we're going to have him year by year here. Hopefully he's worth the $4 million next season. I mean, this profile just looks nasty as hell, so I'm excited to see what he can do for us. And then we also went and did a couple extensions. We ended up bringing back George Mikov. We did not trade him. We actually extended him for 2 years. I think he has either 2 or 3 left on arbitration. So we bought out like 2 years of his arbitration at 2.4 and 4.6, which is totally respectable. Mainly, I decided to keep him because he's actually improved his hitting against righties a bit to the point where it's all green now. So he's actually not too shabby against both sides now. Obviously much better against lefties, but good enough against righties to hold his own. Now he is our 4th outfielder this season, so that's going to be just some depth to add to the team. He does expect to start, but if we're winning, this really shouldn't matter. He should still be happy enough if we're winning, and I fully plan on winning this season, obviously. So George Mikov is still our 4th outfielder. We did do a couple other extensions as well, long-term. Luke Garreau, we brought back on a 7-year extension just because he is that type of high-end reliever, and he's got that 35 stamina, so he could even give you some starts if you really wanted him to, but he's going to be like a stopper for us, getting 100+ innings as the stopper. He was a stopper for not the whole season last year, so he should definitely get 100+ innings this year and possibly win the Reliever of the Year award again, hopefully. So Luke Garreau, we gave him a 7-year extension. Why am I backing out of that? Where is he? Where is he, damn it? Here we go. 7 years contract. Quite team friendly. $900,000 this season. Then it goes up to 6.5, 7.5, 11, 13.5. And then I believe these are 2 free agency years that are both team options at $17 million. So it's either hey, he fell off a cliff at this point and we could just move on from him because of the options, or he's still one of the best relievers in the world and we've got one of the best relievers in the world for $17 million, which is obviously a bargain. So Luke Garreau extended for a 7-year, 5-year guaranteed, 7-year potential. And then we also extended Alex Garcia. We wasted no time. This guy is our left fielder for the long term now. We have our outfield locked in for quite a long time with Garcia in left, Garza in right, and Dylan Head in center. So Alex Garcia here, very, very good player, obviously. He had that limited sample size in the big leagues last season, but was very, very good. Was really turning it on here. And has improved a bit here this offseason as we look. Or actually, he's gone down a bit on the potentials and the speed. Or I guess, the potentials and the speed. But I guess the power potential went down too. But overall, still looking very, very good. And we have him to a very, very, very team-friendly extension through 2044. No options, just $1 million flat for these 2 years that were both going to be league minimum. And then 4.7, 6.8, 9 million, then 10.8, and then 15, 15, 15, then drops down to 13 in his age 30 season, and then 12 in his age 31 season. So, extremely team-friendly deal here for Alex Garcia, especially if he turns out to be the type of guy that he's projected to be in the corner outfield. We did end up obviously losing Johnny Brito. He actually signed in division again. Last year he signed we traded him to the Nationals, I believe is what it was, and then he was not really great for them. Then we reacquired him at the deadline, and now he is back in the division, but with the Philadelphia Phillies. So hopefully we don't end up playing the Phillies again in the postseason, and he ends up as a main character against us, because Johnny Brito is a Marlins legend at this point for his brief 2.5-year stint that he's had with us, but 2.5 extremely good seasons here in our rotation. And then we also did a couple other trades, just opening up spots on our 40-man, essentially. Some of these guys did have to get added to the 40-man, but some of them were just prospects that we don't have to add. Like Kurt Tebow, we traded to Baltimore, just because he didn't have a spot on our roster. He's fragile now. I just felt like he wasn't worth keeping around as a guy to just stash in the 40-man and just probably have in AAA. And just kind of doing whatever down there. So we traded him, and we were able to get equal value, I feel like. We traded a 24-year-old prospect, starter potential guy, multi-inning reliever sort of type, but definitely could start, to the Orioles, and we ended up getting... So we traded a guy named Tebow to the Orioles, and we got a guy named Jacques in return, a 23-year-old left-handed starter reliever type, or he's a starter. He would start in AA. Once again, he's listed as a reliever because we just sent him down, but he is a starter potential, throws a ton of different pitches, fastball, slider, curveball, changeup, sinker, cutter. Love that. ground ball pitcher, has good enough stamina, really good at holding runners, looks like he could be a solid starting pitcher for us at some point. Unfortunately, he is outspoken, but we have enough good leaders and good personality guys to like balance that out at every level, so it should not be a big problem for us. He's starting the year in Double-A. We shall see how he develops for us. Here we go. Brown Martinez. Brown Martinez we traded to Minnesota, and just because he was not going to have a spot in our team and he has no options, so we weren't going to be able to send him down, so he's just going to go play for Minnesota instead. And we end up getting a 22-year-old right-handed pitcher, Matt Geyer. We're all adults here. We don't need to laugh at the name. He was right-handed pitcher, 22 years old. He was already on the 40-man, so we didn't have to put him on the 40-man. But he's starting the year in Double-A for us. Another guy who could definitely be... Jesus Christ, no, we're not having a note on him. He's another guy who we could definitely have as a starting pitcher, 50 potential starter. Either that or a multi-inning reliever at some point, who knows, but definitely a very solid potential player here. Only none of his options are used, even though he's interesting. I don't know what that's about, but he's now in Double-A for us, and hopefully he develops well for us. We did end up trying to take this guy Eli Pitts in the Rule 5 draft for the Pittsburgh Pirates because he is this 70 range, 70 error guy who they just don't use. So he was on the Rule 5 draft, and we were like, we could use a guy like this to be like a backup outfielder for us, but I just couldn't find a spot for him on the roster without having to send down who I thought were just much better players. So we ended up having to return him to Pittsburgh. And, you know, if they waive him or something, we would definitely try to claim him and then pass him through waivers ourselves. But Eli Pitts here is not going to be on the Marlins. We did end up actually losing a guy in the Rule 5 draft, too. It was Ryan Levine, who was like the ultimate boss of these high stuff. Like, he has 85 fastball, 85 slider, 80 curveball, 85 stuff, movement's a bit suspect, and the control is 25, and he's an extreme fly ball. So, like, really, like, final boss type stuff. And he's also fragile and coming back not for 7 months from a torn flexor tendon in his elbow. So I was just like, we're not going to put this guy in the 40-man roster. The Angels took him in the Rule 5. He is on the former Fish list, so we will get updates about him. We'll see if he ends up turning into a good Major League pitcher or not. And then we also ended up trading Danny Munson just because we have so many depth infielders now that we just didn't need him anymore. So we traded him to Chicago, and in return got a 28-year-old outfielder prospect, or not really prospect, 28-year-old outfielder on a minor league deal who's coming off a very good season in AAA with the Iowa Cubs. He is now in AAA for us. Switch hitter, really good outfield range and error, 65 on both, can play all 3 outfield positions, really good speed profile, really good or good enough gap and power, avoid K. Interesting, like, depth outfield piece. He was originally a 12th round pick at a San Jose State by the Cubs in 2028. And he's just been in their system this whole time. They've never given him any big league time, and now he's going to be in our system, and maybe he ends up in the big league at some point for us. Maybe not. But definitely good depth to have nonetheless. And then we also ended up DFAing Brady Moretta. He was DFA'd and claimed by the River Cats. I had so much trouble trying to trade for like a catcher better than Ortega this offseason. Like, it was literally like I would have had to trade like Garcia and like our best starting pitcher, or not our best starting pitcher. I would have had to trade like Garcia and like our second best prospect at like a 75 potential for like a catcher who would have been like, okay. And for whatever reason, this guy just had no trade value. I was like, well, clearly if I just was trying to trade for a 70 framing guy, it was so hard to do. Clearly this guy should have something as a captain and this good of a defensive rating. But nope, he just had no value whatsoever. There was literally not one team interested in him. So we had to waive and DFA him. And he is now on the San Francisco Giants. And of course they have him in AAA because I guess they waived him and we... Or no, he had options. It wasn't that we had to waive him for, but we just thought we had better options in the system that I liked more than him. So we ended up waiving and DFAing him to open up the spots for those other guys. And now he's in San Francisco. And then we did make one big free agent signing here in the offseason, and that was Torihiko Hayashi. He was one of those quote-unquote NPB guys, because I have I have the free agency to like generate guys from Korea and Japan and Cuba. Like I think it's like 5 of them that gets generated. Usually they're not great. Sometimes they are great. So it's like a hit or miss thing. I don't want guys being like flooded who are these like just like randomly generated guys. And this guy, I just thought like he fit our team really well with this 75 BABIP and the 65 I, 50 gap, 55 avoid K. He's not going to strike out. He's going to be hitting a ton of balls, finding a ton of gaps, or not really gaps, just finding a bunch of holes to get on base with singles, and he's going to be walking a ton. And we've been struggling to find ourselves a leadoff guy. So Hayashi here, leadoff guy. We had to give him quite a big deal, though, because he was a free agent, obviously. I was trying to talk him out of this opt-out. At first, I was trying to give him like just a 5-year deal with an option at the end of it, with no opt-out. He would just not budge. So then I started being like, okay, we'll do like a high number here, and then we'll drop you down a bunch in this section, so we're kind of like leaning towards you opting out. And he was still just like, no dice. So he just would not budge off these like high $20 million numbers. We did talk him then a little bit for these years, and we've only got him guaranteed, or not even guaranteed to 34, but we've got him guaranteed through age 31. Then he can opt out, and if he doesn't opt out, then we have him through age 34, which is definitely pushing it, but we do have some money coming off the books. Ramirez is coming off the books after this season. Brooks Lee is coming off the books after this season. We've got all our guys pretty much locked in place that we want to have locked in place. So it's not like we really have to pay anybody coming up soon here. And we should be good on the money. We can afford this. So I figured, hey, why not? Let's sign this guy. He is now our leadoff guy. And also I should mention that his nickname was Chico, and I was just like, that makes no sense, so we'll just make it so it's Hiko, because his name is Torihiko, so that's his nickname now, because I said it so. And then because we signed him as our second baseman, that means we're moving Vargas to third base, and Wilfredo Lara then became expendable. So Wilfredo Lara has been very, very good for us since 2027, really. Or I guess 2027 and 2028, he was pretty, like, meh. But then ever really since 2029, he has just been one of our better players. He had a really, really good 2029, 2030, and 2031, and then the last couple of years, it's been more so around league average. And he has one more guaranteed year at 8.25, and then a team option at 8.25. So we traded him to the Nationals simply because they gave us the best offer. I try not to rip off the CPU teams, but this was just so intriguing to me that I was just like, fuck it, we'll do this. Why not? You could use a third baseman. You guys have been struggling forever. Why not? Get a legit major league player here for 2 years. And they gave us Casey Peterson, who they took 1-1 out of the Western Michigan University in 2031. They took him 1-1, and they just don't want him. So he's actually in our bullpen to start the season. Ground ball pitcher. Could be a really good starter at some point. He's in our bullpen to start the year. High adaptability, work ethic, and baseball IQ. That's what you call the holy trifecta. 25 years old, out of Western Michigan. He is on our big league staff to start the season. And hopefully he's good for us. And then we also ended up talking them into some other relievers. Or like when I was shopping Laura, they were offering us Peterson, and they were offering this 25-year-old true reliever, Mike Halbert, who's a fly ball pitcher, 25, almost 26, hasn't quite fully developed yet, so he's probably not going to be a guy who fully develops, if I had to imagine. But I just took the shot that maybe he is, and maybe he does develop now that he's in our system, who knows. But for now, he is in Double-A for us. Maybe he develops, maybe he doesn't. And then we also got just a random throw-in reliever in Danny Cortez, righty. Thought he was interesting enough to take a shot on. He's in high A to start the season. And then you can see here we also signed this Pablo Mendez guy, and then we immediately DFA'd him because I forgot that I offered this guy a contract, and then we already had too many catchers on our 40-man roster, so I was like, let's just immediately DFA this guy. And the Giants claimed him. So he's now on San Francisco. But we have catchers that I like more than this. I was giving this guy a contract offer before I was looking at our true catcher depth. So once I forgot to rescind the offer on him, and once I went through, I lucked out, and he was able to be signed by, or just claimed by, the Giants. Also seeing that he's outspoken, which was not seeable to me in free agency, so we even dodged a bullet there that he's outspoken and we avoided that. And then before we actually get into going over what our team looks like here to start 2034, we're just going to quickly go over the programs here. The first set, not a lot of improvements. You can see here just a ton of no improvements, but we did have a couple guys improve. Prospero Cannavaro here, it did improve his movement. I have requested scouting report updates on all these guys. This guy, though, looks like he could be a really, really good starter for us. 80 stamina, really good fastball cutter. The sinker still needs to develop, but hopefully it does. 70 stuff, 50 movement. I mean, just crazy good stuff. He's in AAA to start the season, but he's very much an option for us to either be in the bullpen or the rotation at some point this season. As far as the other guys who improved, Butch Brown improved his potential and current BABIP. So it says it's 50 now. You know, I don't really know what it is. Once again, we have scouting tasks for like everybody to see if something gets updated when the scouting report comes in. But you know, I don't understand how any of this works, because last year it was so clearly like, oh, a guy would improve by 5, and you'd look on here and that thing went up by 5, and now this year it's like not that. So I don't know. Omar Garcia, same thing with him. Hit potential control improved by less than 5. Current control improved by less than 5. He's starting the year in AA for us. Just repeating AA because I don't want him in AAA getting destroyed by the AAA run environment. We're hoping he can develop and be very good for us at some point. And then for the second set of dev labs, once again, mostly no improvements. These were the defensive and base running ones, but we did get a couple. Dustin Aspel did improve his defensive catching abilities. He is our AAA catcher this season. He's on the 40-man roster. Looks like he has some good power, gap power. Horrible personality, though, but he does have 60 blocking, 65 framing, and 60 arm, so we are quite excited to see what he can turn into for us. He is one of the options for us to be the catcher tandem next season with Ortega when Ramirez leaves. And then we also got a successful improvement on Jorge Garza's base stealing, so he's maybe going to steal some more bases this year, and maybe be more like a Dylan Head type base runner. That would be fantastic to go along with his very good bat. And then George Mikov, we also improved his base stealing technique. Both of them says it went up by 5. I don't really remember what it was beforehand, but sure. George Mikov, hopefully he steals some more bags too, because he's a guy who hasn't been stealing bags at a good rate at all. So maybe now this season he will. But now, taking a look at what our opening day roster looks like here on 2034, the 26-man opening day roster on the pitching side of things, the rotation is Pedro Patino, obviously, as our opening day starter. Hurston Waldrop after him, Ramon Hernandez after him, Jose Hernandez after him, and then the number 5 guy is our newly acquired Alex Moyeda. In the bullpen, it is Adrian Grijalva and Luke Garreau as our double-barrel stopper combo. Rico Vergan, Casey Peterson, TJ Griffin, Mike Bird, and Tony Elizalde are middle relief guys in like the next tier, and then Brian Burnett is simply on the team because we couldn't find a trade for him because he has 0 value despite being a guy who's even a 55 as a starter, has no value whatsoever, and we just could not find a team. I couldn't even trade him. I even tried to trade him for bonus pool money, but teams just do not give away bonus pool money in this game, and we just didn't have a spot we just couldn't find a trade for him, and he has no options, and I didn't want to just lose him in waivers, so he's going to start the year on our staff here and hope that he can maybe be a good reliever for us this season. But he is in a long relief, avoid high leverage, mop-up role to start the year at the least. And then on the hitting side of things, we are playing Ramirez and Ortega as every second game. They're basically just going to be like 50-50 splitting catcher against righties and against lefties. And then you can see her first base is actually not Jalen McCoy. If we take a look at Jalen, I know we have 70 players. Don't be alarmed. I know we have 70 players in AA. I need to go through this and comb out the minor leagues, but I will at some point. Probably right after I'm done recording this, because I'm obviously not going to show you combing through that entire team. But I will be going through here and getting rid of guys who should not be on the team anymore. But for now, it says we have 70 guys. And also, this hasn't advanced today, so like the AI hasn't like sorted through all these guys and promoted and demoted guys, because a lot of these guys who are promoted and whatnot are guys who like shouldn't be on the team anyways, but they were because there was a lot of guys on the spring training roster. You get the gist, but ignore the 70 guys. it will be sorted out. Jalen McCoy is not our opening day first baseman because he really hasn't tapped much into the power here. You look at his current ratings, it's nothing really too special. He didn't have like a great spring training, so I was just like, go down in AA, develop hopefully, and maybe next season or at some point later this season you're able to come up and play first base for us. And until then, we will simply just have first base be a platoon. Dario Bird, who we love his bat against right-handed pitching. He has the good gap power and eye with some 50 BABIP as well. He's playing against righties. And then against lefties, it is this man who came out of absolutely nowhere. He was a scouting discovery in 2028, 21 years old, almost 22. Right-handed bat. You look at these ratings and you're like, okay, pretty good bat. Can hold his own against right-handed pitching as a righty. But my goodness, folks, you're not even ready for what this guy looks like against lefties. Holy shit. Like, what? Out of nowhere. This guy was not on my radar whatsoever. You could see even the AI was like, oh, he was an A-ball for a year, was really good, and then, or he was able to start last year, was really good, and then the AI promoted him straight from A-ball to AAA, and he was good in AAA. Hit 17 home runs and 21 doubles in 70 games in AAA, and looks like he could be a really good Major League hitter. So he is on our Major League team here to start the season. He is the shortstop platoon against lefties, but he's also the backup first baseman and main pinch hitter against righties, and he can even hold his own against righties. At least decently well. Obviously not as much power and eye, but he's here for his bat against lefties. We're hoping he's a lefty masher for us. And then second base is Hayashi. He's leading off. Vargas is third, hitting second. Garza in the 3-hole in right field. Mark Antonio DHing. Alex Garcia hitting fifth and left. Brooks Lee in sixth, playing short and hitting sixth. Dario Bird playing first and hitting seventh. That just means that Hirai? Seitaro Hirai? Whatever this guy's name is hitting seventh against lefties. And then Dylan Head is hitting eighth and playing center, and then Kyle Ortega and Ramirez will be playing every other day in the ninth spot as the catcher. As you can see, the pinch hitters change based on righty or lefty. George Mikov is the fourth outfielder. Wilfred De La Cruz is the backup infielder. Obviously, first base is the platoon, and catcher is the swap of Ramirez and Ortega. And that is what our 2034 opening day roster looks like here. As we are ready, or no, we're not. We have to go over the preseason predictions. As the Red Sox are projected to win the American League East Division with 95 wins. The Orioles behind them. The Twins and Royals both projected to be 90-plus wins teams in the Central Division, while the West is projected to be absolutely dog shit, with the Mariners with 79 wins projected to win the division. And then in the National League side of things, we're actually getting some respect this year, folks. The Marlins projected to win 96 games. Fantastic stuff. Finally getting the respect we deserve. The Phillies behind us with 90. The Central supposed to be beating up on each other here with two really, really good teams. The Cardinals and the Reds with 98 and 94 wins respectively. And then in the West, it's the Dodgers with 101, and the Padres behind them with the Rockies going back down to earth. Do we have any respect in this? In the hitters? No hitters. In the pitchers? No pitchers. So that they don't think Patino, the guy who won the fucking Cy Young last year, is one of the top pitchers in the National League. It's just absurd. They look at this guy and they're like, no, I don't think he's one of the best pitchers in the National League here. I don't know why. Why would they think that? He throws 200 innings per season. We have his hook all the way up here. It's not like we're like throwing him 170 innings every year anymore. He's a guy who's being unleashed to his full capabilities, and the game just does not respect our players whatsoever.